Hi and welcome back to Once Upon a Tiny Farm. My name's Drew. In this video, I want to give you guys a quick, easy way to start seeds inside your house if you don't have a greenhouse. I'm going to share with you some really simple and easy tips for seed starting that you could do inside your house. You don't need a greenhouse, and some really easy things that you could use to do that you likely already have laying around your house that you already bought. So you can do this without even buying a fancy humidity dome at the store. So stick around. I'm going to share with you some ways as we start seeds without our greenhouse. We're going to be doing it inside our house. So here we go. Another cool thing about this video is I actually started filming this about a little over 2 weeks ago, and I'm late editing and finishing the edit on this. So I'm actually, if you stick around to the end, you could see how these seeds that I started in the beginning of this video are doing a little over 2 weeks later, and what you can expect if you start these seeds at home yourself. So let's get to it. So as you could see in front of me here, none of these trays that I'm starting my seeds in are actual seed trays. These are different things that I saved from foods we got at the grocery store. I think some of these are from lettuces that we got. So I like ones that have lids that are clear so I can create my own humidity dome. And that's what these two are. I actually really like this one here because how tall it is. And this is going to be great because we're growing onions, which will grow a little bit taller as they grow. So that's going to be helpful for my onions. And I'm also going to be growing, along with the onions, we're going to be planting some cabbage. We're going to be planting some kale and asparagus today, starting from seed. So I'm excited to get these started. And a big mistake that I've made in previous years is I have a outdoor greenhouse, and in previous years I've started these seeds around this time and put them in my unheated greenhouse. And the problem that you find is if you're not heating that greenhouse, they're still going to take extra long to sprout and grow because it's still cold temperatures this time of year. So figuring that out, I realized that I need to take these seeds inside of my house and keep them in a windowsill to sprout. And these kind of containers are the best kind of things to do to sprout seeds in February, where we are right now. And it'll give them a real good start on the year. And the problem is my windowsills aren't very deep, so I like to find containers that I know could fit in our windowsill, and all of these I know can fit in our windowsill. So that is good. So what we're going to do, I'm going to be planting two different varieties of onions right now. One of them is called Rosa di Milano. This is a red storage onion. I really like this one. And this is an open pollinated variety, as well as this one from Survival Garden Seeds, Walla Walla onions. I've never grown this kind before. It can get very large. So with onions, I just sprinkle them on top of the soil in here. And my soil medium is just peat moss. And I'm going to sprinkle the onions, just broadcast them on top of the soil, and then I'm going to cover them with vermiculite, which is what I've really enjoyed using the last few years. And it's a kind of a sandy, dusty material. Helps hold on to moisture, so it'll really help with germination and keeping the soil moist as these start to germinate. So that's what I'm going to do. First, I'm going to do onions here. Doesn't seem like there's so many onion seeds in this little packet, so we'll see. I'm basically just going to plant this whole package here. Nothing really fancy about it. Just putting them right on top of the soil. I'm going to end up doing one tray here of these Walla Walla onions to keep them separate, and do the other large tray here of the Rosa di Milano, and I'll keep my varieties separate. And it's okay if they're clumped together. They're all still going to grow, and what you'll end up doing is when these are about a couple inches tall, 5-6 inches tall, we'll take them out separate them and plant them one by one out in the garden when the temperatures have warmed up quite a bit, maybe in April. So that was Walla Walla. Now I'm going to do the Rosa di Milano here. Onions is something that we really go through in our family, and I know that that's something that I want to have more of this coming year. And I like to grow the Rosa di Milano because it's more of a storage onion. It should last several months if stored correctly. So I want to always have onions on hand because onions they take a while, but they're actually pretty easy to grow, and I really enjoy growing them from seed. And I like knowing exactly what went into them, growing wise, fertilizing wise. So I like being on top of that. It makes me feel more connected to my food. And that's the whole reason, basically, why we started growing our own food and expanding our gardens year after year. So there is quite a few seeds in here. That should be plenty. We'll put the rest of these back in here. I've never saved seeds from onions, and you could do that if you have an open pollinated variety. They're called a biennial, meaning you would plant them this year and then keep some in the ground until next year, where they'll form a flower head and grow seeds. It'll go to seed, and then you could save seeds that second year. So that's something I might want to do for some of these onion seeds because I haven't done that before. Okay, so we've got this seeded and that seeded. Now we're going to go, and so I have another kale, lacinato kale that I got from Survival Garden Seeds. And by the way, if you want to check out Survival Garden Seeds, use my code TinyFarm10 during checkout, and you'll get 10% off seeds and seed collections, which I have quite a few of in my collection that I'm going to be growing a lot of this year. So definitely check out Survival Garden Seeds if you want a good deal on some seed collections for this year's garden. But I'm going to be planting lacinato kale. Really, really like this kale. And from Johnny's, I've got Winter Boar, which is a more leafy, your more average kale that you would expect to see in a grocery store. So for the kale, my camera's shut off there, but all I did was the same that I did with the onions, but I was a little bit more methodical about how I dropped them on the soil. I tried to space them about 2 inches apart, right on top of the soil here, just like I did with the onions. And I'm planting them in my green stalk, which has 30 pockets, so I only need about 30 plants to germinate to put in my green stalk. So I planted about 40 seeds, about 20 of each variety, the lacinato and the Winter Boar. So that's planted there. Now I'm going to plant asparagus, which is also from Survival Garden Seeds. And this is going to be one of my perennial beds in my 400 square foot garden, which I have plans for. My 400 square foot garden, if you're new here, is a garden that I've created in just a 20 foot by 20 foot space, 400 square foot garden. And I'm trying to grow the most food possible in the least amount of space. And I've updated my plans this year for the 400 square foot garden, and it includes a perennial back row of raised bed gardens, and I'm planting asparagus in one of those perennial beds, and we're going to be starting them from seed. And it's something that I actually did last year as well, and was pretty successful with. They take a little bit of time to actually germinate, and actually it looks like that humidity dome top for this container might have blown away, so I'm gonna have to put like plastic wrap or something on top of this until this germinates. But this might take a few weeks in the window to start seeing some sprouts here, but I'm really just going to plant these just like I did everything else. I'm just broadcasting this entire packet of seeds on top of this peat moss soil, and I'm gonna cover this with the vermiculite, just like I do everything else, which I haven't gotten to yet. I'm going to be doing that in just a minute here. But these kind of grow, last year when I did this, they kind of grow like onions do. They look like little grass starting to grow, but they're a lot thinner. The onions are a little bit of a thicker looking grass, and this is a thinner thing. So asparagus, be really cool to have. One thing you can plant one time and have it come back every year. Something I really want to have more of and make things simpler in the garden. So there we go, we got asparagus planted. And now we've got cabbage. This is going to be for a different garden. This is actually for my chicken garden. I'm planting a chicken garden as well. And cabbage is one of the rows I'm going to be planting for my chickens. And if you want to follow along with my chicken garden, again, sign up for our email newsletter, because I'm going to be giving free plans for my chicken garden garden plan. And that might be something that you're interested in if you have chickens and you want to supplement their feed bill. That's something that I'm really trying to do. Yesterday I filmed a video about seeding wheat. I'm trying to grow wheat for my chickens on a small scale and see how much exactly I could grow. So definitely check that out. Like I said, sign up for our newsletter down in the description below this video, and you'll get those chicken plans for our chicken garden. But anyway, the kind of cabbage that I'm growing for the chickens is this Copenhagen market cabbage. I got this from M.I. Gardener. These look like a really, really large head of cabbage. I've never grown this variety before. And I'm going to need about 80 plants for the row that I'm seeding. And of course, it's going to be really hard to count. I'm going to try to do that and keep track of how many seeds I actually plant in here. Okay. Got those all seeded. This one also, I can't find the top for it. It might have broken, I just threw it out. But I'm gonna have to cover these last two containers I seeded. I'll just cover with plastic wrap and put that in my windowsill until it germinates. And that'll help it germinate. Right now, I'm gonna go get my vermiculite and cover all of these trays that I just seeded with the vermiculite. And then we'll cover them up, put them in the windowsill, and I'll give an update on them in a few weeks once they start to germinate. One thing I didn't mention is that before I even started seeding this, I didn't get it on camera, but I watered all of these, so they're all already moist. And that really helps compared to just seeding seeds on top of dry soil, because what could happen then is once you water the seeds, they could just run off the soil. But when it's already moist, the seeds kind of stick a lot better to the soil and you'll get better germination. So here I'm just going to cover. There you go, guys. I've got them in my windowsill here in our barn, getting really good sunlight. Kale there, and the 2 onions in these containers. And in a few weeks, these are going to be starting to sprout. And that's all you got to do to get an early start on the season.